I am Dominic Tartamella, and this is Movie Thoughts. For those returning listeners, welcome back. How's everybody doing? For those who are new, welcome. It's a podcast where I talk about movies, give my thoughts, fun-filled podcast, me by my lonesome. And this is episode 60. That's right, 60 episodes in the can. Let me get a little... That's me giving a round of applause for myself. And side note, I was just, or rather fun fact, I was just slapping my head to make that sound because I'm holding the microphone. And yeah, episode 60, it's here. Boom. Pow. I've been doing this since, was it last August? I don't remember when I started the podcast. Maybe last August. Wow. Time fucking flies. I think it was August. I'm not going to look it up right now, but yeah, that's almost a year. But 60 episodes, and this is the one, guys. This is the fucking one that I've been waiting for. Talked about it a bunch of times, that I was hyped for it. The Flash movie. Way back around Super Bowl, we got that Super Bowl trailer. Our first real look at like the goods, the Michael Keaton goods. And yeah, I did a fucking episode about that a while ago. And as you could tell, I've been hyped. Like a lot of people. A lot of it, and I've said this before, I'm not a liar, is because of Michael Keaton. It's the return of the king, if you will, right? The return of the OG fucking Batman, Tim Burton's Batman, our Batman, my Batman, a whole generation's Batman, right? And that was the thing that got us hyped. Oh, and guess what? The Flash is in it too, right? Now, yeah, this movie was loosely based off the Flashpoint comic, which was also made into an animated film, The Flashpoint Paradox, which both I highly recommend. There's some differences in those comics. The major difference is that when Barry does all his time travel stuff and shit like that, he ends up in a universe where Thomas Wayne is Batman, the father of Bruce, and Bruce was killed in that mugging along with his mother. So it's a little bit different, definitely some different plot points and shit like that. I would suggest reading the comic and even watching the animated film too, if this subject is new to you, because it's interesting and it's cool. Anyway, the Flash movie, right? It's it. I was hyped. You know, I try to keep my expectations in check. Now, before I get into the movie, I'm not going to talk about spoilers yet. I will announce when I talk about spoilers. So if this is the first time you listen to the podcast, you're safe. Until I start yelling, you know, spoiler, 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 or whatever I warn you, you'll know. You'll know when I warn you. So I'm going to be light on that stuff. And then when I get into, if I decide, I don't know how long this episode's going to go, but let's talk about it. So overall, drum roll, I liked the Flash movie. I can't say honestly with first viewing if I would say I loved it. There's definitely some things in there I like more than others. There's some things I don't like, and I'll talk about the things I can as of now. So this movie obviously is about the fucking Flash going back in time, or trying to go back in time to save his mother and get his father out of prison and fix everything and put a nice bow on it. But of course it's not going to work like that, right? Because we've seen time travel movies before. We know the shit's getting fucked up. We know about paradoxes and fucking alternate 1985s that we learned about in Back to the Future Part 2. Because let's face it, all of our time travel knowledge is most of us is based on movies, right? So that's usually the through line, is Back to the Future. Avengers Endgame had some time travel in there, and they kind of put a spin on the rules and shit like that. And here we are again with another time travel movie. Now, as a time travel movie, this is a fun fucking movie. And I will say that most of this movie's fun. I enjoyed it. I guess that this is the thing I'm trying to figure out, if like my expectations got in the way, because there's some things, as I said, I didn't like about it. The movie gets going pretty quick. Now, this is not really a spoiler. You get Ben Affleck as Batman in the opening, and you know, nobody expected him to be in this whole movie, so you really just get him in a piece of this movie in the very beginning, and then as the story goes on, and you know, you get Keaton, and you get another Barry Allen, you get shit like that. Now, yeah, the movie starts off big. You know, there's some stuff, and I'll get into it when I talk spoilers specifically, but there's been talk a little bit in the last few days now that the movie's like hitting the public, but there's been talk about the CGI. I'll talk about that right away because it's the elephant in the room. The CGI is definitely a little wonky at times. Now, I just saw something right before I went into the theater by the director, Andy Muschietti. Muschietti. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Muschietti, I think it is. And he was saying that it's on purpose, the way because it's trying to show like the Flash's point of view, and he's going really fast, and things get distorted and all that. It feels a little bit like a cop-out. I felt when I read it before seeing the movie that it felt like a little bit like a cop-out, and I didn't even know the actual footage. And then after seeing the movie, I could say it's probably a slight cop-out. You know, I mean, I could definitely see that in some sequences when the Flash is running fast, but then there's times when the Flash ain't fucking running, even if it's like a brief glimpse of something, and the CGI looks a little wonky. When the Flash is traveling back in time, there's, especially when he gets into it and he's in that moment where he's able to choose where he wants to go, there's a lot of information on screen. A lot of that is faces and different people and stuff like that, and that looked the wonkiest. But then you could also say, and I get the argument from that side, would be like, okay, well, it's because, you know, he's going really fast and that's why they look like that. So I could see that. But some of the stuff does seem a little bit like me. I mean, I can't say it was rushed. I mean, the movie had a good budget, so I can't say like, oh, they cheaped out on it or anything. But it seems a little wonky at times, as I'll say. So some of it may take you out of it. I don't think it like ruins the movie or anything like that, but it's a little questionable why some of the stuff looks like that. But as I said, movie starts with a bang, a lot of action going on. Ben Affleck in there, and then it kind of takes some dips. I will say like negative things about the movie. I felt like it went a little bit slow. Now I can say that perhaps because I'm like a Keaton fan and I'm there to see Keaton, maybe that's why I was kind of like counting the minutes until Keaton showed up on screen. I don't know if that's just me. I don't know how other people felt about it who weren't just there for, you know, their main focus, Keaton. The story is engaging. Like, you're not gonna... I'm not saying I was like not into where it was going, like heart story wise, you know, like he's trying to go save his mother, he's trying to get his father out of jail. I can understand it, but it kind of takes its time a little bit. I think there's some stuff in the very beginning that maybe could have been skimmed a little bit and we could have just got right into it. But once we get into it is when it becomes interesting, right? And then there's the other Barry, and what universe is he in, who exists, what heroes don't exist, what heroes do exist. We get into all that fun stuff. And this movie, I mean, like, I don't know. I went with my wife, I went with my cousin, I went with my nephew, and like they all enjoyed it for the most part. And I just don't know how much of like overall DC comic book knowledge is like necessary, or not really comic book, DC just movie lore and stuff like that is necessary to enjoy it to its full potential, because a lot of this movie is based upon like, look at that, you know, an Easter egg, just even the fact that General Zod, which yet again, this is from the trailer, not saying any spoiler, like General Zod is in this movie. You could understand who General Zod is. They do a good job of, you know, giving you the details for somebody who hasn't seen Man of Steel or knows the whole fucking thing. But like, it's definitely more fulfilling when you know Man of Steel, you know the outcome of that movie, you know all that shit. Also, I talked about the Flashpoint comic. There's some differences in there. Obviously, you know, Supergirl replaces Superman in that and in this. And so, like, I knew the nuggets from the comic, so I think it enriched it for me. There's a whole lot of little Easter eggs and stuff like that, fucking cameos and shit like that I'm not going to talk about right at this minute. You know, it's similar in the way it definitely feels like another multiverse movie like Spider-Man No Way Home, where you had all that stuff being thrown at you, and it is enjoyable. I mean, as I said, once the movie starts going and it picks up and the storyline actually gets good and, you know, Michael Keaton comes in there, yeah, sure, it gets rolling, it's good. It's fucking, the finale is really cool. I thought, like, the ending was really fucking action-packed, and, like, you see, that's the thing, well, once the ending rolled in, like, there's that early stuff that's a little wonky with the CGI, but once the ending came and all the shit that happened with that, I didn't feel like it was being, it didn't look good or anything like that. I felt like it looked pretty damn good, most of the stuff, and I didn't have a problem with any of the visuals. This, overall, like, where do I feel this is going? Because there's questionable things. I've seen some stories out there saying that, like, oh, there might be a Flash sequel if it's, you know, there's a Flash sequel on deck, basically. It's been written and stuff like that. I don't think we're getting a Flash sequel. I think this is 100% the end of that DC universe, the DCEU, and all those characters, and Zack Snyder's universe, and if that's the case, I think it ends on a good note. I think it closes some doors. You know, it leaves some stuff open, I guess, if they want to explore. I've said on the previous podcast when I was talking about the Michael Keaton Batmans a couple episodes ago, I was saying, like, maybe there's room to do, you know, one day maybe another Michael Keaton solo Batman movie, and maybe there is. I mean, this kind of leaves the doors open for stuff like that. Yet again, it's a multiverse and there's all these different doors, so it might not even be the Batman from this movie. It could be the Batman from another fucking universe. Who fucking knows? But, yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the cast, though, and, yeah, we'll get into the nitty and gritty, and then I'll probably go with some spoilers, but I'll let you know when I start that. But, yeah, so Ben Affleck, let's get him out of the way. He's not in the movie long. I like Ben Affleck a lot as Batman. I really wish he would have got more of a chance to shine in all these DC movies. Unfortunately, he didn't. It is what it is. He never made his solo Batman movie that he was going to direct at one point. But it's nice seeing him here. As I said, though, really not in it a lot. It's basically a glorified cameo. You have some action stuff with him, which is cool. I like that he's wearing the blue and gray suit. That's cool. And then, you know, he just kind of goes on his way, and that's it. That's the end of Ben Affleck. Ezra Miller. So Ezra Miller, however you feel about him as a human being, obviously this guy got involved with some shit, and he's, you know, whatever the fuck. Now, I enjoyed him for the most part in Justice League. I thought he was a pretty good Flash, whatever. He you know, he's kind of goofy and stuff, doing the humor. But obviously in Zack Snyder's Justice League, he gets a little bit better of, you know, a storyline and stuff like that. But in this film, he's playing two roles, right? He's playing a younger Barry Allen. He's playing the Barry Allen from this timeline. And I got to say, he gets a little bit annoying at times. I mean, there's two of them, and they're constantly bickering and talking. And like, it's funny for the most part, but at times, like, the younger one gets a little bit annoying. He's got, like, kind of a goofy laugh. I mean, I get what they were trying to do, too. It's a lot of it's probably on purpose, because he's, like, his younger self. He's fucking annoying. He's, like, 19, so a teenager's fucking annoying. So they kind of amp that up. Sometimes it's a little much. But overall, he's pretty good in it. I think as the movie goes on, and there's some more serious stuff that happens, I think he shows, you know, his acting chops a little bit more, and it's not just, you know, fucking joking around and stuff like that. So you definitely get accustomed to him halfway through the movie, and then, as I said, when the serious stuff happens, he's definitely better, and he's more enjoyable in those parts. But, like, the humor overall in the movie lands for the most part. Some of the shit, you know, I wouldn't say it misses. Maybe some of the stuff that didn't laugh as hard. It's not as funny as I thought it would be, though. I thought there'd be a lot more funny stuff just in, like, any early things I read about it. But it's pretty good for the most part. There's a lot of referential humor that, you know, fucking, or movie references and stuff like that in there, which maybe I'll get to in the spoilers. But, yeah, overall, he works. Sasha Calle, who plays Supergirl, I thought she was really good. She comes in a little bit later, too. So, like, a little bit later in the movie, she pops up, and she's good. She's cool. She fills that void that, like, you know, Superman would be in. And, that works. It works. Different universe. I like her look. She feels like an intimidating presence, like as Supergirl, a strong presence. Then you get Michael Keaton, right? Michael Keaton comes about like a little bit before Sasha Calle comes into it. And Michael Keaton, he's doing some weird stuff in the beginning. When he first pops up, they're doing some weird stuff. I'll talk about it in a little bit. But then once he gets going, he works. He's fucking Michael Keaton. He's doing his thing. He's fucking Batman, and I liked it. I liked every minute of it. I thought it was great. I thought the Danny Elfman, soundtrack reprises that went on when he was doing stuff, it all fucking worked for me. The Batwing, the Batmobile. You don't see him in the Batmobile, unfortunately. If that's, you don't see him in the, I'm trying to think. You do see the Batmobile, but you don't see him in the Batmobile. You do see him in the Batwing. They go about it. I'm surprised they didn't put the Batmobile in it more prominently, though, because it's such an iconic vehicle and stuff like that. But it is there. The cave is there. The fucking, even like I just rewatched the Batman 89 and Batman Returns, as I talked about in the last couple podcasts. But, like, it's so cool seeing Wayne Manor and seeing inside Wayne Manor in certain rooms. And it just looks like right out of those movies. So it's cool to see all that stuff. For the fans, this little supporting parts, obviously, by Michael Shannon. He's doing his thing. He's fucking Zod again. He pops up in there. You got Ron Livingston taking over as Henry Allen, Barry's father. You even got Jeremy Irons popping up as Alfred, doing his thing, right? Small roles, but enjoyable. Maribel Verdú plays Barry Allen's mother, and she's good in this small role, and everybody's pretty good. The cast is good. As I said, the ending gets, there's craziness, there's some awesome stuff on screen. Overall, I like the movie. I'm definitely going to see it again now that the expectations are gone and see how I feel about it. But yeah, overall, I definitely recommend it. If you're a DC fan, I think that it's a good, closing the door off of the other DCEU, and that now that we're going to start with like a new batch of fucking remakes and this and that, it's a good way to close that door. And maybe they'll do some stuff in the future, but who knows? I don't know, depending on how this movie does, how it's received overall. Now I'm going to get into spoilers, so if you're still listening, we're at like the 17-minute, almost 18-minute mark, whatever the hell, and we're going to get the spoilers. So I warn you, I did like the movie. That's it. That's all I'll say. And now we're in spoiler territory. Okay, so this fucking movie, as I said, the CGI, that there's a baby scene in the beginning of this movie with fucking when Barry Allen's saving a bunch of babies, falling out a window, and it's a little ridiculous. It's like, it almost feels a little bit like a Looney Tunes, a Looney Tunes cartoon. Like even the music that was playing over the scene felt like a little bit like a Looney Tunes cartoon. You get it. Listen, I laughed at it because it is goofy and it's stupid, and he's trying to eat stuff and get his appetite filled in order to get power to save the babies. But it just comes off a little bit much, especially in the beginning of the film. It's hard because you're getting ready for this fucking movie and you're hyped, and well, at least I was. And then you see the scene, it's kind of wonky. And then the special effects in that scene, like a lot of fake looking babies, And I think that's the problem. Like when you're seeing that, and I understand what the director was saying, how running fast distorts it and blah 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 and all this shit. I get it, but it looks a little off. That it takes you a little bit out of it. But once that rolls, and that's over, you get to the main story, right? But before we get to the main story, we got the cameos. That they don't feel that bad. I mean, so you get, as I said, Ben Affleck as Batman, but then you get Gal Gadot popping up as Wonder Woman, which was, I wasn't expecting it. After she popped up, I was almost expecting Henry Cavill to pop up. And there was a little glimpse at Henry Cavill a little bit later, but she wasn't bad, I mean, it didn't feel cheap, it was cool. There's a little moment with the lasso of truth and Bruce and Barry, confessing stuff and all that shit. That was funny. I thought that scene worked. And then, we get to, the rest of the movie. Obviously, I mean, like, it did, as I said earlier, it did feel a little bit slow. When you do get to Keaton, like, I felt like it was a little bizarre when you got to Keaton, because Keaton's all, like, obviously he's old, but he's got the beard, he's all, like, he's in fucking flip-flops, and he's fucking walking around the house cooking spaghetti, and then he's beating them up, or he's trying to beat them up, the new Flash, and, the older Barry, and it felt a little weird. It felt a little weird to see Keaton in that way, and it's like they don't really explain it. That's the thing. Like, so they show him all kind of like old, and obviously Alfred's dead, but they don't really give him a backstory as to why he's like this. I mean, he hints at the fact that, like, oh, Gotham's a safer place and they don't need Batman anymore, so they kind of just make it like, okay, he's a recluse now. He just is in the house, and this fucking whole house, the Wayne Manor, is like a mess. But it kind of felt odd. And then it feels even more odd because there's not like a big moment where he's like, okay, I'm going to fucking be Batman again. He just, like, Barry just talks him into it, and he just puts on the fucking suit and shaves and stuff, like, off screen, and then all of a sudden he's just fucking Batman. It was a little strange to go from one extreme to the other, especially after not seeing this, this iteration of Batman for so long. And you listen, it's a Flash movie, I get it. We're not going to get like a full fucking backstory of what went down, 30 years for Michael Keaton's Batman, but it just felt a little all over the place. And I will say there was some scenes, some other aspects of this movie that felt all over the place as far as, like, just cutting to the chase, but, like, the two Barrys have some funny moments. I think that them experiencing things together, and then even when, like, the older Barry loses powers and the new Barry gains his powers, I think all that was funny. All that worked good. The whole running through fucking time, and early in the movie we see a glimpse of, like, Henry Cavill pop up at one point, because when he's going back, when he's doing the initial run back to stop his mother from, being killed, we see Henry Cavill. So that was a nice little nugget. And then later in the movie, we get the crazy climax, right? So, like, you get the Dark Flash fucking monster guy who knocks Harry. I keep calling him fucking Harry. And then when I call him Harry, I think about fucking Harry from Dumb and Dumber. Harry! But Barry, when Barry gets knocked out of the when he's trying to run back in time, and you get the Dark Flash in there, right? It was kind of predictable that would be the other Flash, the younger Flash, which it is, and it's him years and years later. I like that it was him, older. I like that he had the scar on the face and stuff like that, and he had the pieces of the Kryptonian fucking things in him, and that was all cool. I liked all that. I also liked, like, just in the final, climax of the movie, how, like, Supergirl, we aren't spoilers, Supergirl dies, then, Barry, then Michael Keaton, fucking Batman, dies tragically, and then you get the two Barrys running back in time, reversing it, and then they keep fucking dying. Like, I liked that. And I liked, you get the kind of, like, throwaway Michael Keaton death, where that's where it felt a little funny. The first time I was like, oh, they're not killing Michael Keaton like that. He's just going to crash the Batwing and die. But then you get the more, like, emotional, like, he's bleeding out of his mouth, he falls on the floor, he dies, he says a little something. And then, like, the whole thing about this is bound to repeat itself. I thought that was all cool. And then they go fucking full bananas, right? They go full bananas. And, we all heard rumors, I try to avoid as much as I can, but they all heard rumors, like, that there were some cameos, right? And whatever, and I heard some stuff. There's a bunch of shit. And as far as, like, a DC Comics fan and stuff like that, I think the multiverse stuff for me, I mean, this is going off first time watch, but the multiverse stuff in here, it felt like, to me, a little bit more fulfilling than, like, some of the stuff in No Way Home. Now, I know there's two fucking separate movies, and yeah, No Way Home had the 3 fucking Spider-Mans and shit like that, but, like, I don't know, this is, like, I kind of wanted this kind of moment in that movie where, like, you got, like, a little bit of everything. And they do that. You see fucking black and white George Reeves Superman from the old black and white show. You see fucking Christopher Reeve Superman and the Supergirl from the 80s, I believe it was. Then you see fucking... you just see everybody, right? You see everybody you could... Like, bizarre... Like, you just... Obviously, they're all over the place, and there's going to be fucking videos fucking showing, probably zooming in and whatnot. But you see, like, everything that you could possibly imagine. Then you see fucking Nicolas Cage Superman. Okay, Nicolas Cage fucking Superman with the long hair fighting a fucking giant spider thing, which, like, that was apparently, you know, I mean, obviously there was supposed to be a Superman starring Nicolas Cage. Tim Burton was supposed to do it back in the day, and it was supposed to be called Superman Lives, and it never happened. And there's all concepts. There's even a documentary by the late great John Schnepp called the Death of Superman Lives, or whatever the hell, right? Yeah, Death of Superman Lives, I think it was. And good documentary. And Kevin Smith famously talked about that he was gonna, like, he tried to, you know, rewrite that story, and the producer wanted, like, a big spider in it, and they put the fucking spider in. That's been so fucking great. And that's one of those things I talked about earlier. Like, if you're not into the lore, you might not, you know, take away on those little Easter eggs. You're not going to get them. You know, even early in the movie when fucking the young Flash finds the laughing bag in the Batcave, the Batmobile that was in the Joker's thing when he died, right? Shit like that. If you don't pick up on that stuff, you're not going to enjoy it as much as somebody who knows all that stuff. But yeah, the fucking Nicolas Cage thing was really cool, because then it almost makes you excited to see, like, somehow see a Nicolas Cage Superman thing, whether you did it animated or what. And he's, like, fully CGI, but it looks fucking awesome. And all that stuff was fucking cool, and the worlds collide. You know, you just see all that shit. And then movie goes, he gets back, he does, and then I gotta say, like, as far as the movie, and I did have some, you know, things that I didn't like about it and stuff, but, like, as far as, like, the heart story and where it goes with his mother and stuff like that, it's emotional. It works. And I think that, like him or hate him, like, Ezra Miller gives a good performance, especially in those, you know, funny moments. You know, he's good comedic, but as I said, he gets a little bit, like, repetitive and a little bit annoying at times with that. But when he's giving, like, a heartfelt performance, a more serious performance, he shines. I liked all the stuff with his mother, and especially the end when, you know, he kind of has to go put the fucking tomato sauce back and kind of say goodbye to her. It's very emotional. It's kind of like, you know, kind of get choked up. And that says a lot, especially, you know, going to see a movie like this, that it's fucking CGI fest and it's a superhero movie. And if that heart story's there, that's important. That matters. And then the other elephant in the room, which I couldn't say until I got the spoilers, was this one. When the movie fucking ended, fucking right before it ends, he thinks everything's back to normal, whatever the fuck. He goes to see Bruce Wayne, and it's fucking George Clooney as Bruce Wayne, right? George fucking Clooney as Bruce Wayne, returning the first time since he played him in Batman and Robin, that fucking debacle. But yeah, it was cool to see George Clooney. I heard a rumor a while ago, something about George Clooney, and it was so ridiculous that it was like, it had to be true. I kind of tried to bury it deep down in my mind because I just wanted to go into the movie and enjoy it, but I had a feeling it was coming, because, like, when those rumors spread sometimes and they're so obscure or they're so strange, a lot of the time that's when they're fucking true. I don't know why, like, the director recently talked about the Nicolas Cage thing and kind of spoiled that. I stumbled across that as well, you know, accidentally, because it was kind of like just out of nowhere. I was reading an article and it just, oh yeah, just gave that away. I was like, I really didn't want to know that. But there's also, like, fucking Adam West. That's who else you see. See Adam West running. There's probably a slew of others that I didn't catch. As I said, there'll probably be videos of people fucking posting shit and stills from all that. But yeah, overall, all the multiverse stuff, I thought it really, like, as much as the movie to me started off slow and it's, you know, had its flaws, once it got going, especially when Michael Keaton comes in, especially when Supergirl comes in, and they're like, once it got going, and especially the climax, I thought all that worked really well. And as I said, I got to watch this movie again to see how I really felt about it. But overall, I liked the fucking movie. I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was definitely one of the better DC movies. It's a good kind of farewell. Unfortunately, with them changing the fucking shit around all the time, you're probably not going to see a continuation of this. Maybe some elements, like I did like Sasha Calle as Supergirl, and I think they are supposed to do a Supergirl movie, so why not her? I think it would be kind of stupid that you have a good Supergirl and all of a sudden you're just going to throw that away and recast it. I think they could work with her. I don't know. Will you ever see George Clooney as Batman again? Who knows? Only time will tell, really, because of just success of this movie, if they want to go revisit other things. The director, Andy Muschietti's doing Batman, the Brave and the Bold, which is going to be like a Batman and Robin movie with a new Batman playing Batman. It's going to be separate from the Pattinson Batman, so that's cool. So if they could do stuff like that, maybe they could, cherry pick elements from this. As I said, a third Keaton fucking Batman movie, why not? Yeah, will I admit, Keaton, to me, is the best part of this movie. But, there's more going for this movie than Keaton. It's hard to, would I have been very excited to see this movie if Keaton wasn't returning as Batman? No, probably not. I would have probably been like, all right, if it was just Ben Affleck in there, yeah, I still would have been, game to see it. But it changes it, and it made a lot of people, including myself, more excited to see it. So, he delivers. I think he does well in it. As I said, he comes about in the halfway point, and he does a good job. It's good to see him doing his fucking thing and saying his lines, and even the lines, even though they're a little heavy-handed and stuff, they work. The fan service works. It is what it is. The music, all that shit, you want it, right? So what are you going to do? You can't help but feel like if you grew up with Michael Keaton as Batman, feel like a little fucking kid when you're watching him fight people and the fucking Danny Elfman music's on. He's fucking swinging his cape around and shit, or flying the Batwing. It's all fucking cool. And they tug on those strings on purpose. It is what it is. But yeah, overall, as I said, like the movie. Definitely going to see it again probably this weekend at some point just to process it again, because there's a lot. They're throwing a lot of shit at you. I think it's got to be about 2 hours and 2 hours and 20 minutes. And as I said, the slowest of it is just that beginning. I think as I said, it starts with a bang, starts with the action stuff, the Ben Affleck stuff. I liked all that. And then it kind of takes a dip and it gets into it. Here's the thing, they're showing, Barry Allen really has only been featured now in the Justice League movie, so they're trying to fulfill a lot of the stuff. There's some flashbacks and stuff like that. They talk about when Barry got his powers and shit like that. He goes back in time. He tries to get the other one powers. He does get the other one powers. I liked all that stuff, and it also filled in some of the backstory that you don't see on screen with Barry because you've only seen him in Justice League. So that stuff worked for me. Definitely want to see more Supergirl, though. I thought she was good. And that's it. That's it. That's The Flash. So that's, one movie that I was looking forward to for a long fucking time. And now it's here. And yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty damn good. Is it? I don't think, there was a whole thing of, greatest superhero. Some people were overhyping it a bit, saying, oh, it's one of the best superhero movies ever made and stuff like that. It's definitely good. I don't know if I'd rank it that high yet. Yet again, have to see it a couple of more times. But what I will say is it's one of the coolest comic book adaptations. I will say that because it feels like a comic. Just especially the subject matter and the multiverse and all this shit, and it feels like a comic book. Exactly what you read in a comic book. And as I said, it's based on the Flashpoint. You go back and read that. It's a little bit different, but as much as, they took stuff from there and they changed some stuff around, like Cyborg's in that comic, he's not here, but it feels that way. There's some movies that just, when you watch them, some comic book movies, literally feel like a comic, and this is one of them. And that's the best thing I can say about this. So go in, enjoy it, take it in. If it's the last time we see fucking Keaton as Batman, I think it was awesome seeing him. I hope that something else comes of this. As I said, he's working with Burton now on Beetlejuice 2, so maybe they start talking. Maybe Warner Brothers hey, what about one more Batman? What about Batman Beyond? Let's fucking do it. You could, because even the way this movie ends, if you go and you say, all right, Barry went and put the fucking can of tomatoes back and saved his mother and killed his mother and saved whatever and everything went back to normal, then that means that Keaton in this universe is alive again with the fucking beard and shit like that. But even if you wanted to go to another universe, or like, I'm just down for fucking seeing different people play Batman. I fucking hated George Clooney as Batman. You know, he's so goofy, you know. Hello, Freeze, I'm Batman. But, like, I like George Clooney as an actor. But now, if they wanted to do something with that even, I'd see fucking George Clooney as Batman. Fuck it. Give him another chance. He's a good actor. He just was in a shitty fucking Batman movie. But that movie is so ridiculous. You gotta love it. Even though it's bad, you gotta love Batman and Robin. But that's it, guys. That's the podcast for today. Check out the other episodes. As I said, I did Batman 89 and Batman Returns a couple episodes ago. If this is the first time you're listening and you like what you hear, rate and review and all that shit on Spotify and iTunes. And check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Dom Solo Reels for some funny videos and other movie-related stuff. And have a good night.